Welcome back to me talking about whatever the hell I want. Today we'll be taking a look at Girl in Red's album titled If I Could Make It Go Quiet. 22-year-old Norwegian musician Girl in Red, real name Marie Ulven, finally released this debut album back in April. Up to that point, Ulven's only releases had been a compilation album of 10 singles titled Beginnings that was only released on vinyl, as well as, most notably, the single We Fell in Love in October, which is the viral hit that Ulven is undeniably most known for. I'm a big fan of the sound on Ulven's first set of singles, so does the debut album hold up? I don't think it's going to be a surprise to most who have listened to the album that my choice for best track is Serotonin. The song really draws you in right off the bat with its infectious, deceptively upbeat, naive, almost immature and taunting melody. The jangling instrumentation to me simulates the anxious highs and frayed nerves felt when you're in a state of mania, and to me this also simulates the positive facade but turmoil-driven inner workings of being in that state. It also kind of represents what it's like to pretend that you're fine while hiding your true feelings from those around you. As the opening track, it kind of sets up this expectation for the rest of the album in terms of subject matter and tone. However, it does unfortunately take a sharp left immediately on the next track, which is titled Did You Come? While musically similar, the subject matter of the album goes from deeply personal and introspective on the opening song to raunchy revenge anthem on the second, at breakneck speed. This track does, however, continue the theme of expressing how mental illness can hinder one's impulse control, as do some of the other tracks on the album, including Body and Mind and Horny Lovesickness. This is a continuation of the theme of mental illness that I appreciate and is what I expected from the album based off of the opening track, as well as being what she expressed in interviews ahead of the album's release. However, in much of the album's remaining subject matter, a notable lack of self-awareness is apparent, which stands in stark contrast to the hyper-self-awareness shown on Serotonin. Here, before I really get into it, I should pause to mention that while I do not in any way seek to make any assumptions of Ulven's character or psychology here, I do see this as an interesting peek into what makes this artist tick, which is inevitable when any musician creates a raw and personal project such as this one. The self-awareness shown through the album seems to be exercised concerning personal matters. However, it disappears when it comes to empathy and how her behavior might affect others. That brings me to the worst track on the album. The next song I want to discuss is titled You Stupid B****, which comes off as manipulative and controlling in a way that really puts me off. When put into a greater context of an entire track list that does tend towards themes of unhealthy lust and intense desire, I am led to believe that this is not an intentional choice. I will be straight here, I do not like this track. The tone directed towards the person being talked about in this song is concerning and the logic is twisted, which one could argue is intentional in pursuit of telling a story or portraying the inner workings of one's own flawed logic. However, this is not how it comes across to me. It has a seemingly total lack of awareness that makes me cringe while listening. This reminds me a lot of a track by Conan Gray titled King. It has similar themes that also kind of put me off, however, it is wholly more believable that King is intended to be satirical in its expression that he is the best that someone can do romantically. Basically, if the song was written by a man, I think that it would be far more intensely scrutinized. These statements concerning the album are not original by any means. Other reviewers have made similar observations to me on this, but that should speak to how true this feels while listening. Overall, while I definitely don't think I regard this album as negatively as some people do, this album was a mixed bag for me. As I always say, I have no issue with artists evolving their sound. I don't expect them to remain the same forever. However, personally, I do prefer the more shoegaze-leaning sound that she had in the beginning. I will actually be seeing Girl in Red in February of 2022 on her upcoming tour at the DC show. I'm definitely looking forward to it, being that when I saw Conan Gray on tour back in 2019 and she was opening for him, she was not performing at that particular show, of course. Back then, Ulven had only a handful of tracks released, including We Fell in Love in October, so hopefully I will get to see her perform some older tracks alongside her new releases. That's all from me for now. See you whenever I've got something else to yap about.